there are two big issues facing back to school right now. And you got the whole COVID situation, which is serious, and then you've got this critical race theory, which is erupting in every local school district.
It can lead to the return of separate but equal and school segregation in class.
Dr. King famously said that he was looking forward to the day when people would be judged by his children would be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And it's like it's been flipped upside down.
It is the antithesis of the teachings of Martin Luther King Jr., the absolute antithesis. It is making people, including young children, as you said, feel guilty about their skin color. What a travesty and what a betrayal of how far we've come as a nation. What it is doing, Jay, is taking people who strive to love and respect everyone, and it's taking Americans and attempting to push us into our racial corners.
Racism in the United States is real. It was all over the world. You don't ignore history. We know the history. In fact, if you don't teach the history, you oftentimes can repeat it, and that'd be a horrible thing too. But to shame a generation of 9-year-olds, that's how it's in second, third grade. To shame these students is also outrageous, and it'll give the other side a chance to divide us even further.
They are using this and other issues to divide us, and it is very, very Marxist, socialist in their leanings, and they're using this for their own political advantage to divide us as a nation and to destroy this noble experiment in self-government.
When you boil it down, I know it's hard to because there's so many elements to it. What is it that we're talking about in the schools right now?
For instance, we have an organization out there called the Abolitionist Teaching Network. It's a radical activist group that the Biden administration has included in its post-pandemic coronavirus guidance for public schools. They believe that the U.S. educational system engages in the spirit murder of Black, brown, and indigenous children. They believe that whiteness, for instance, is a form of illness. And they say a lot of other outrageous things.
Was there sin in the past in the United States? Was racism real? Yes, racism is still real. Okay, they're racists, but we're not systematically racist as a country. We're not systemically racist as a country. We're the greatest hope and freedom in the face of the earth.
Keep in mind the statements made by G. Van Fleet. She is a Virginia mother who immigrated to the United States from communist China. And she argues that critical race theory is essentially the roadmap to the cultural revolution that occurred in China 20, 30, or 40 years ago. And so at the end of the day, if critical race theory is inserted in our schools and in our country, then it will lead to one end only, and that is totalitarian oppression by elites.
On the issue of mask mandates, I think this is where local control comes in. I just think these are local. There's going to be local hot spots, so to speak. And I think if the local school board thinks we've got a hot spot, well, we should, defer to the local school district. And by the way, if you don't like the decision they made, get them out of office the next time. But I mean, we sometimes forget, Andy, that we're living in a constitutional republic here.
The most important thing, in my opinion, is local control through the local school boards, the local boards of education, to make the decisions in their communities with respect to issues such as the mask. If they decide it's optional, then we should support that. If they decide it's mandatory, then we should support that. The federal government has got no business injecting itself, or the state government for that matter, into determinations made by local boards of education as to what is best for the children that go to their local schools.
I'm not going to get into the effectiveness of a mask or not, whether the effectiveness of a particular, I'm not a doctor. I'm talking about what is legal and what is not, what is constitutional and what is not.
The goal will be, and I think that's where we are as a team here, and that is to address this while respecting each other, and yet, as you indicated, at the same time resisting government control, especially at the federal level, which is antithesis to our Constitution. But, in reality, both of these issues, the mask issue and the COVID issue and critical race theory, they have the potential to divide us as a country. That's what we have to fight against.
Part of the problem that often state and local communities, they have relied too frequently on vacillating information that has come from Washington without engaging their own experts, their own healthcare professionals. And I think that has led to some frustration, in part because the national recommendations have gone up and down, which I think leaves local authorities a bit in the lurch.
I'm a Federalist. I'm a conservative, which means I believe in local control, which means if a school district in a particular county decides that they think it's in the best interest of the school district to have masks for their students because of health concerns, well, they have the authority to do that. If you don't like that school board, you can vote them out of office. We live in a constitutional republic. That's how representative government works.